but this was, I don't know, what actually if she would protest and she would not sign the scholarship.
The point is, I think it is possible that Falcon didn't see it, because both were in time travel, and Falcon was writing the moves. Even on his score sheet, he wrote knight c5. It is quite likely that he has seen that Kaspar moved the knight to c5, he wrote it, and it's possible.
And then the knight went to f8 afterwards.
Yeah.
f8, yes.
No, but
Knight
d7,
d7, c5, and
it's what he wrote. So
he wrote knight c5, but
that could have protested, yeah.
not sure, because
then she would say, well,
No.
Okay, so this,
The
I don't
point
know,
is-
but what would happen
the
if she
point
would
is
protest?
he probably hasn't seen that he released the piece on c5. This is possible.
Yes, we shouldn't forget that you could only see that in slow motion.
Yeah.
I mean, later the film was shown in Linares, and only if they showed it in slow motion you could see it. I mean, it was
No,
very-
but you could see on faces, of Kasparov's face,
This
immediately.
is
That's what you
On
would
this,
say. You said-
no, really, just show this here, and everybody would say.
I spoke with
Because Kasparov was
Julius.
very nervous when he played knight
Yeah.
f8,
Mm.
and you could see it on replay.
Yeah.
And then, when Judith didn't protest,
Mm.
she started to laugh.
Mm.
She was very afraid to protest, she told me, because she was
but
afraid that
Kasparov
it
was
should
very
be
happy she didn't
considered
protest. And then
it should be
completely
considered
you can
disturbing
read
the opponent.
You can read on
This
the
was the
face
point.
everything.
But what should Kasparov think? He knows.
No, of course he knows. No. First he said that Judith wanted to use his popularity and to get something for her popularity. Kasparov took back the move, and then Rinter forbidden to discuss this. And then when film appeared, then Rinter forbidden to show this in the hotel and in tournament hall. But what happened, this was even worse for Kasparov and Rintero, because it was private documentary group from Madrid, and so somehow they discovered this maybe 4 or 5 days later, when they came back to Madrid. And then they started to look what they made in Linares. Suddenly they discovered that the whole conflict on their film. And so they came back.
Yeah, they came back. But that was interesting because, as you said, Rentero forbade him to show it in the hotel. And then I was talking to Rosa, the photographer, and I said, "You hear that? They're going to show it, but it's forbidden." And she said, "How innocent, how silly are you? You think Rentero doesn't want them to show it? Of course he wants it because he likes the scandal." And of course, it was all over the newspapers, and everyone was writing about it. And he was happy.
Yeah, at the end, maybe.
But I think Judith did something very brave, because she was 16 years old and she was a small girl. And on the final day, before they were going to leave, then she confronted Kasparov in the lobby. And she just went up to him, and she was this small girl, and she looked at him and said, "How could you do this to me?" And he didn't speak to her for 1 or 2 years.
No, but she was not 16 years old at that moment.
Yeah.
But,
It was 94. She was
she was older.
17.
older.
No, almost 18.
No, she was.
17 and a half.
Yeah, 17.
Okay,
No.
She's from 76.
No.
18. It
No.
was 91, she was 15 when she became the youngest.
Okay, but still, she was small,
17?
and she was a girl.
She was
18.
Yeah, but it was
18 maybe, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, for sure.
Around
No, even. Just a moment. Judith became world champion in teams in first time in Dubai. She was 12. Dubai was in 86. So plus, so she was around 20.
so I know she was born in 1976.
76, yeah. And then she became 11 years in Dubai, yeah?
Sorry?
In Dubai, she was 11 years old. In,
No, 10.
Yeah?
10, yes.
even 10? Yeah.
Yeah, well, so we've drifted from...
Okay, but then so this is just, you asked a question about this tournament. So,
Yeah,
so this was another peak in my career,
yeah.
all this.
Well, Linares 94 can be seen as some sort of an epilogue to the match, but we've drifted a bit from the match. we talked a lot about the match, and maybe the audience wants to ask some questions. Are there any questions that you want to ask Anatoly Karpov or Jan Timman about the match or about anything else?
Maybe I would like to make a remark about the use of the computer in 1990 in New York, when I was on your team and I was able to analyze this particular position in the Spanish opening, where the bishop would go from b7 to d5, and if the correct move was played by white, you would retreat the bishop back to b7.
Mhm.
And the position actually appeared in the match during the game. And then you started thinking and thinking and thinking, and we all thought, what is he thinking about? We know what is going to happen. And after 20 minutes or so, the bishop did not go back to b7, but went to f7, and you got a totally winning position.
Yeah.
And the game ended in a draw.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing that during hours of analysis, you didn't get this idea. Nobody got this idea. And you explained that when you're at the board, you're so concentrated that you see much more than you do during normal analysis at home.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
thought that was very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I have a question for Mr. Karpov. In Jan Timman's most recent book, it becomes clear that he thinks of you as one of the greatest in chess. How do you consider Jan Timman in the history of chess, and do you agree with his unofficial title, Best of the West?
Best of the West. So you remind me. This title was. It reminds me the old joke or story. 1974, 72. I won my first biggest tournament outside of Russia. 71 I won a tournament of All Stars in Moscow, Alekhine Memorial. And then it was Hastings, but not so strong, and then San Antonio, 72. And Gary Gollenbeck was the chief arbiter, that time famous journalist arbiter, and he was second of Larsen, yeah, in 58, 59. But he was writing chess articles for Guardian, and then
Times.
Guardian, yes. And then in 72 he was chief arbiter, and he had very good relations with Keres and Petrosian, and that's why from time to time we were together in one company, because we were three from Russia, and I was that time close to Petrosian, and I had all these good relations with Paul Keres, great player and person. And so we spent time together, and then we started to discuss. And Fischer just beat Spassky, and he was invited for the closing ceremony of the tournament. And people were discussing this, and then suddenly I think Keres or no Petrosian started to discuss, or Gollenbeck started this discussion about who is the strongest. So Fischer, does it mean that hegemony of Soviet chess ended? And then Gary Gollenbeck said, doesn't matter Fischer world champion or not Fischer, but I have my classification of chess players in the world, and this is very simple. And then I heard this for the first time, I think Petrosian Keres also. And Petrosian asked, but what is your classification? And he said that for many years after maybe Second World War, the situation is the same. On the first place, Soviet Jews. On the second place, Soviet non-Jews. On the third place, non-Soviet Jews. And on the first place, non-Soviet non-Jews. So, but this is a joke. So that's why. No, Gary Gollenbeck joke, not mine. I just tell what he said. Of course, we were smiling.